Hey everyone, Erik here, and this is a review on the MJX X101. Very good sized quadcopter. This comes in two different models. It comes with or without the camera, and as of recording this video, it's fluctuating in price, but it's around $100, and the camera is a 720p FPV camera, so it works wirelessly through Wi-Fi to your phone. And I'll get more into that in a second. But if you guys are interested in this one, I included a link in the description down below where you can pick one up for the best price. Now, this is a great budget drone for anyone who's looking for a quadcopter that can lift most action cameras like a GoPro. Or if you plan on buying a more expensive quadcopter but want to learn on something a little bit less expensive, the X101 is perfect. So if you're ever planning on moving up to, let's say, like a DJI Phantom 4, you don't want to be practicing on $1,000 quadcopter, then this is a great way to learn. You're going to learn all the flight characteristics and very similar size and look and feel to the DJI. Now, the performance obviously is not going to be as good, but definitely a great way to learn. Now, the measurement of the DJI Phantom diagonally without the props is 14 inches. And here, the X101, you're looking at about 15 inches, maybe about between 15 and 16 inches. So similar in size. And with the blade guards, you're looking at something even bigger. These blade guards are actually pretty big, which is great for beginners. So if you're learning to fly this thing and you're crashing pretty hard, a lot of times these quads will kind of nose over, especially in thicker grass. And those blade guards are going to do a really good job at keeping the blades from digging into the ground. If you want something more for kids, you can check out something like the Cyma X5SW, which I also did a review on. This thing's a lot lighter. The blades are a lot smaller and a lot more, when they hit you, they're not going to hurt nowhere near as bad as something this size. So I included a link to this one in the description down below if you want something a little bit smaller. Now, this one does weigh almost a full pound, so it's over that half-pound mark. I believe the FAA, if it's over 0.55 pounds, they do want you to register it. Now, it is a simple process, and really, they just want you to agree to a couple things, and I'm not making this up, but one of the things on the checklist is I will not fly under the influence. So, just go over there, fill that out. It just costs $5, and I included a link to the government site where you can go register that. This one does come with a really good sized battery. It is a 1200 milliamp hour battery, which will give you around 9 minutes of flight time. Some people say that this thing actually goes up to 15 minutes, but not really. If you hover in one spot, you might get up to 10 minutes of flight time, but that's really without the camera and just staying in one spot without the blade guards on. And if you're doing more than just hovering, if you're going to be flying this thing around like most people are, you're probably only looking at about 6 to 7 minutes. So don't let that 10-minute time fool you. You don't want to be expecting 10 minutes flight time if you're flying around like water or a tree. You definitely want to be timing this thing. So if you're flying without a camera, after about 6 to 7 minutes, you want to start planning on bringing it down to a lower elevation and start planning out your landing. Just like in an airplane, you don't want to just be flying this thing without timing it. Just set a timer. Once the timer goes off, then start preparing to land. And if you're flying with a GoPro, you're going to get even less flight time, probably around 5 to 6 minutes. It really depends on how aggressively you're flying it. You don't want this thing falling out of the sky when you have an expensive $300 GoPro attached to it. I do wish they put brighter LED lights. The lights really aren't that terribly bright. They're actually built into the frame. They don't have their own little diffusers, kind of like the Cyma X5SW. This one has its own built-in diffusers. So if you look at it, they're much brighter than the lights that are built into this into the body here. But the thing I really like about the X101 is the body style. If you look at the rear arms, they're actually quite a bit longer than the front. And the good thing about this is when it's far away from you, it's actually very obvious. You can see these long arms in the back compared to other quadcopters that really have no distinction from the front or the back besides the colors. Now, if this thing's too far up, the green and the red might just blend together. But the good thing about this larger quad with the longer back arms is it's really obvious when it's in the sky to see these long arms in the rear. And then the front lights really aren't that bright. They're kind of hard to see unless it's facing directly at you, especially when it's in the sunlight. So You know, it's not like these things are headlights at all. It's just kind of adds to a cool effect visually. This thing does come with headless mode, so if you are far away and if you're not sure what direction it's pointing, you can put this in headless mode, which is really nice for beginners or if you lose track of what direction it's going. So to put it in headless mode, you have your function button up here. You hold that down for a couple seconds. It's going to beep, you're going to hear 2 beeps, and now it's flashing. Now you know it's in headless mode. So what that's going to do is no matter what direction the quadcopter is pointing, let's say it's pointing this way, and it's so far away from me I can't see it. If I pull back, now it's going to fly back towards me. Okay, and to calibrate your headless mode to make sure that it's going to be flying in the correct direction, have your quadcopter facing in front of you just like this with the control behind it. And what you want to do is bring both controls down and to the right. And what you want to watch out for is look at the blinking of the lights right here. They're going to speed up and then they're going to go back to their normal blinking. And that's when it's all calibrated. So if you guys do plan on using headless mode, make sure you calibrate it before you take off. It should calibrate when you first start out, but just as a safety measure, or if if you've been flying this around, that compass might get thrown off. So to calibrate it down and to the right, it's going to flash quick and it's going to go back to the slow flash. And this can only be done when it's in headless mode. So that's how you calibrate the headless mode. Another thing that's really nice for beginners is it does have a throttle limiter on here. So this throttle limiter right here, if you dial it down, it will keep the quad from zooming off at full speed into your neighbor's yard down the street. And trust me, even with a GoPro, this thing has a ton of power, and someone who isn't familiar with the controls, this thing can disappear really quickly. And the best place really to learn this quad is in the middle of a grassy field and just keep it low to the ground, because remember, the higher you go up, the more powerful the winds are. And you don't want to be taking this thing too high up because it can go very fast, very quickly. And if you guys are interested in more information about this FPV camera, I included a link in the description below showing how well this FPV camera performs. There is a live view from my phone showing exactly what you'll see flying the quadcopter, and I included both views so you can actually see when the camera started to lose reception and cut out. And there's also a view that was recorded directly to the SD card that plugs into the bottom of this camera right here. And this plug right here, if you're wondering, this plugs into the charging port of the battery, which will actually give it enough power to operate. And I also tested a couple different cameras, and so far the best footage that I've seen is from the Mobius. This thing, what I did to attach this, I just attached it to the bottom with some double stick tape. And as far as the GoPro, I did have to buy this separate attachment, and this thing just attaches the same way as this camera mount does. It just pops onto the bottom of here, and you can adjust the angle. But the problem I've been having with the GoPro is just the vibrations. Even though this thing has dampeners on the bottom, which do a good job for like lighter weight cameras, for some reason the heavier weight of the GoPro just causes it to vibrate pretty bad. So I'm currently working on different ways to dampen out that vibration. I'm going to test out some Nerf balls. I'm going to test out some different types of foam. So if you guys want to keep up to date on how to smooth out the aerial footage, I'll post updates in the description down below on what I find works best for dampening out vibrations. And the X101 also can do flips. To activate that, there's actually a couple different speed settings in here. So you have your beginner speed, and then you press this beginner advanced or beginner intermediate. It's going to bring it up. Now it's going to fly a little bit faster. Press it again, and now it's going to fly in its fastest mode. And when you put the control all the way up, it's going to do a flip. Or all the way back, it'll do a flip in reverse. And of course, you have all your trim tabs, and then there's also ways, if you want to switch the mode, so if you want the throttle to be over here on the right side, you can do that as well. So overall, the handling was very nice. There was no surprises when pulling aggressive turns at high speed, and the gyro was rock solid, even with carrying the weight of the GoPro. A lot of quads that are underpowered, sometimes when you let them fall down and they try to recover, they'll get horrible speed wobbles and they'll start wobbling. This thing didn't have that at all. Just a really rock solid performing quadcopter for the price. And if you guys do have any questions on this X101, please leave them in the comments down below. If you found the video helpful, I always appreciate those thumbs up, and make sure to subscribe to keep up to date with my future reviews. Thanks, guys.
just